What's going on, guys? JSGC here, and we are here for another Manchester City video. Today we're going to be addressing Everton's point deduction that's been handed to them by the Premier League for financial fair play breaches. They've been handed a 10-point penalty that's been deducted immediately from their Premier League total, sending Everton back into the relegation zone. So today we're going to be digesting why that's happened and also what that's going to mean for Manchester City, who have also been charged with financial fair play breaches by the Premier League and facing 115 charges. So before I do crack on with this video, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content, do subscribe to my channel. It is free to subscribe. Social media links there in the description if you want to go and check out my Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorship for any videos or any general business inquiries. Do leave your thoughts as well in the comments below, and don't forget as well to leave a thumbs up. That would be much appreciated. So Everton, they were found guilty by the Premier League of financial fair play breaches. That has been concluded today, with the Premier League deeming that Everton are guilty of these financial fair play breaches and that they've been handed an immediate 10-point penalty for their punishment. They faced just one charge, and I've seen a lot of people speaking about Manchester City's 115 to 115 charges that they've been handed by the Premier League. So with Everton being handed such a hefty penalty here, people are wanting sanctions to be put immediately onto Manchester City and want that to be sorted ASAP. And I'm on about all the main rivals around Manchester City in the Premier League. And with Manchester City, it's far more complicated than what Everton's situation is. Everton seems much more straightforward. A panel's made a decision based on the evidence that's been provided to them and then made their sanctions based on that. Everton very unhappy, as they would be, about this situation and are going to appeal the process. And I imagine City, with a keen eye, will be keeping an eye on what is happening here with this Everton charge, how the appeal process goes, what evidence is provided, and what this may mean for Manchester City as well. And obviously with Everton having one charge and City having over 100 charges, it's going to take a lot longer to sort out Manchester City, because they're not going to be handled one charge at a time. It's going to be sorted with all 115, with all kinds of crazy rumours saying City are going to be chucked out of the Premier League, City are going to get chucked out of the Football League, City could drop down to League 2, they're going to go into Tier 10 of football, of the football pyramid here in England. And at the moment it is all just fabrication, it is all just make-believe, with people wanting rather than what Manchester City are going to get. And at the end of the day, as I said, I think the most important thing I'm taking away from this Everton charge is the appeal process, because at the moment, as far as I'm aware, the Premier League, in terms of their ruling, it's done by independent judges, a panel who will make their decisions. One represented by Everton, one will be represented by the Premier League, and one's going to be done by a neutral person. Normally what it means is one's going to vote for Everton, one's going to vote for the Premier League, and that neutral person's going to be the one that decides what the charges are. Very similar to what Manchester City faced with CAS when it came to the UEFA charges that were handed to us. And we were, if you remember rightly, punished. We were found guilty by UEFA. We were punished by UEFA. They handed out the sanctions to Manchester City, and City took their appeal to CAS. And as far as I'm aware, you are not allowed, if the Premier League find you guilty of these financial fair play breaches, allowed to take it to CAS. And Manchester City, when we beat UEFA, got a lot of the charges time barred because there was a specific time put onto these charges. With the Premier League, that isn't the case, which I think further complicates the matters. And I think Man City's angle that they're looking for, obviously handed out to all of the solicitors and all the lawyers out there who will be dealing with all the legal side of everything. I think Manchester City are going to be angling here towards more of what evidence do the Premier League have of wrongdoing to bring about a charge? How have you accessed such information? And is that information allowed to be used as fact when it comes to handing out charges? And Manchester City will be very interesting to see how they go about this. And it's not something I'm expecting to be sorted anytime soon. So all the rival fans coming at Manchester City saying they wanted things to be sorted in time for the end of this season and things, it's just not realistic that that is going to happen. And as I said, this appeal process that's happening with Everton, I find very interesting. They've handed a 10-point penalty, but if Everton appeal, listen, who is it being appealed to isn't crystal clear, but if they do have sufficient evidence in their defence, or the Premier League don't have sufficient evidence to charge Everton with these charges and hand out these punishments, what happens to the Premier League, what happens to Everton, and what happens to the integrity of the league as well? And that's what is very interesting here, because what the Premier League have basically done here is they've singled Everton out, and my gut feeling here is they'll want to make an example of Manchester City, and if they've charged us, they think we're guilty. And if they think we're guilty and they can have things spun their way, then they will hand out what they deem the appropriate punishment to Manchester City, which may not necessarily be the fact. I'm not a lawyer. I don't have the insights of what's going on with all of these charges. Remember, 115 charges are a lot of charges. Some of these charges are incredibly minor, things that don't even warrant the time of day, things that will warrant at the very most a small fine handed to Manchester City, and financial impact on City just isn't going to have that much impact on the club. Handing a points deduction to Manchester City could hurt the club. Do they want to expel Manchester City out of the Premier League? How are they going to do this? Cities will get very political as well. It will get very complicated, because the UK government have already said that they don't want relations to be friction between the UK and that of the United Arab Emirates, and yet it's been suggested that the potential implications here on Manchester City could harm the political interest of the United Kingdom and investment and money coming into the country, which further complicates things. And at the end of the day, people want things to be just and fair. And I will say, because I don't know if City are guilty or not, I sit here as a Manchester City fan hoping and wanting Manchester City to be innocent, and that they can defend themselves like they did with UEFA, and I'm confident in the club that they can do so. But at the end of the day, as a fair football fan, I want to sit here and say that if Manchester City are guilty, taking away the politics of everything, then Manchester City should be punished, and rightfully be punished, if any wrongdoing has been done. Can the Premier League find the wrongdoing? What wrongdoing have Manchester City done? And what are the punishments that are taken in place of this? City have a great law team available to them, so it'll be really interesting to see what happens. And now, you mark my words, the City lawyers will be keeping a very close eye on what's happening with Everton and their evidence that's provided and what their defence is, and is that City's angle that they're looking for, and the Premier League can work their way around it. Is there a technicality on this, etc, etc, etc. There's so many complicated things involving this charge, but I find it really interesting here that Everton deducted immediately 10 points from the Premier League. It means they drop into the relegation zone, and it'll be interesting to see what happens on the appeal. And I imagine Everton will want that sorted by the end of the season, because that could be the difference between them potentially staying in the Premier League and not staying in the Premier League. And there's a lot of financial impact on that, that if Everton are innocent and the Premier League have been biased and found them guilty and then are relegated, the Premier League, said, takes away the integrity, because the Premier League will owe Everton a lot of money in compensation. They'll owe them a spot in the Premier League as well. So it becomes very complicated that this is the angle that the Premier League are looking for. And of course, you've got the situation United. They were found, Manchester United, they were recently found guilty of financial fair play breaches, yet don't seem to have had much punishment done about them. Chelsea seem to have been spending nilly-willy as well. We're having very little done about that, and I reckon they're probably next on the Premier League's hit list. Manchester City very much in the spotlight as well. And if, as I said, if there is wrongdoing done by Manchester City, they should be punished. I just don't think that we're the only club that are completely innocent in this, if we are not innocent. So we'll see the direction that we go in. I would like to reassure you guys, for all the City fans that are watching this, that don't worry, don't panic, don't bite into what people are trying to suggest. Just stick to the fact. The fact is, we've been charged with 115 charges. City confident they can get these charges dropped, because they firmly believe that they are innocent. So let the lawyers and the club do their thing, let the Premier League do their thing, and then we'll take everything as it comes. We'll digest that and take it in our stride. If it means we get chucked out of the Premier League, we get chucked out of the Premier League. What a roller coaster coaster ride it's going to be. We get all our titles stripped away from us. At the end of the day, the Manchester City club, the brand and everything they stand for will still exist. The fans will stick behind the club 100%. I'm absolutely certain of that. Manchester City, the direction that they're heading in, setting an example for everybody else in showing what a well-run football club looks like, and people can open that up for interpretation all that they want. But the fact is, Manchester City's charges are things that happened a decade ago. There's the stepping stones to get Man City where they are, but where Man City are right now is far ahead of everybody else, because Manchester City know how to run their football club in a successful manner that's both on the pitch and also as a business as well. And I think a lot of other clubs around the world could take note of just how well run Manchester City are and what they do for the community and what they do for the fans as well. And that's the reassurance I think the fans need to take away from this, regardless of what happens, whether the charges are dropped or City are found guilty, we get kicked down to League Two. We'll have a great ride in League Two, you mark my words. The EFL, it's full of controversy, very entertaining, and it is a roller coaster ride at the end of the day, and it's just one of them things. So don't worry about it. Don't lose any sleep. Like I said, don't try and bite into what people are suggesting and people are saying. People don't know anything unless they're a lawyer working for the Premier League or a lawyer working for Manchester City, who will be strictly prohibited from saying anything. Everybody else doesn't know what on earth they're talking about. So take everything with a pinch of salt. And I reckon Everton could well have this point deduction overturned on an appeal as well, depending on what evidence is provided. So we'll see what direction it goes in. It's very interesting. As I said, City will be keeping a firm eye on everything that is happening, and people that are expecting City to be found guilty and to be punished this season just quite simply isn't going to happen, due to the magnitude of the charges and the magnitude of the implications that it would have as a knock-on effect with the football club, and in particular with the Premier League. As I said, these charges, Premier League doing within their rights of what they're allowed to do, are bringing the integrity of the league into question. Looking like they're trying to weed out corruption. May I suggest maybe there's just a little bit of corruption inside the Premier League as well? Would it surprise you? Of course not. Anyway, any more developments that we get, of course, I will keep you guys in the loop. So make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content, do subscribe. Also, don't forget social media links there in the description if you want to go and follow me on my Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorship for any videos or any general business inquiries. Don't forget as well to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Do leave a thumbs up too, and I'll see you all again tomorrow. We've got a City transfer update for you guys to enjoy. So I've been JSGC. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope everyone is safe and well. Peace. Ciao for now.